War
is a nightmare.
War is awful. It is indifferent and devastating and evil. War is incredible. A brutal teacher. And it teaches you lessons that you will not forget. In war, you are forced to rape my men. You are forced to torture my SEAL to victory. Thank you.
It's now been a year since we saw our lives drastically change due to this coronavirus pandemic. Hardworking, everyday Americans have endured a lot of pain, and the events that have occurred can be potentially extremely consequential to this great nation. We saw how Americans driven by fear chose to elect a dementia-riddled geezer, and we are in a dangerous time. It's imperative that we remain tactical and continue the fact-over-feelings approach employed by the leaders of the IDW. We are allowing a bunch of bureaucrats to dictate our lives as they obtain more grant money from the government. And now they're trying to shame the emperor of media into taking his vaccine. Rogan is the embodiment of good health. The man treats his body like a temple and is able to remain pure by being an avid sauna user. We are becoming a totalitarian state if men as vigorous as Joe get forced to contaminate their body. The soul of the nation has been lost. Do you think Sam Adams would have let the Crown make him wear a piece of cloth over his mouth? Joe knows that we need somebody who is willing to stand up for our values. Now, as a testosterone enthusiast, Joe naturally gravitates to strong alphas.
Guys like Shaolin, guys like you were the beginning of the future. Guys who can stand up and who are deadly on the ground. So no matter where you take them, they're screwed. You were the first guy.
If I had to suck dick, I'd be in real trouble. I'd have to lie on the bed, let a dude mount my face. There was no way I'd be able to... That's the alcohol talking.
Figure it out. I looked at his body. I thought, what the fuck?
Dude, he's so jacked.
He's jacked, in shape. Good. Might be the best looking dude in the UFC.
Maybe the best looking dude on the planet.
He's right up there.
And during his podcast last year with Jocko Willink, he noticed how manly and tight Jocko looked.
420
And thinking outside of the box and strenuously grappling with the highest level of ideas, Joe came to a sound conclusion. You see, unlike quasi-alphas, Joe isn't insecure at all about his sexuality, and he isn't afraid to admit how much he admires the robustness and the suppleness of the male figure. Joe is an 8th degree black belt in logic, so he is not only able to appreciate the Greeks for developing deductive reasoning and modern philosophy as a whole, but also for their fetishizing of the male body, idealizing hulking figures with rippling muscles. Joe recognizes the intellectual merit in cherishing the gracefulness of fearless men with Herculean bodies. Joe's scholarship and deep appreciation for the ancient Greek society that developed so many advances in math, science, medicine, and philosophy allows him to fundamentally understand that honoring the impeccable athletic bodies of these hunks will be complementary to the further development of these fields. And that's why Joe routinely dedicates time to giving these heroes their due praise.
He's so... Look how much bigger he is than Johnny. I mean...
And shredded.
And Joe is a leader in the realm of stand-up comedy, which is probably the only profession that speaks truth to power and takes after these brilliant Greek philosophers who made such a mark on the world. They would be Joe's peers today. Just like Plato would spend all day debating Athenians at the Agora, Joe goes into the Comedy Store prepared to educate all the clueless civilians.
It's like the Harvard Research Labs of stand-up comedy.
And just like the great Socrates refused to apologize for being pious and was ultimately executed for this by the state, Comedians like Joe refuse to roll over and become mainstream media sheep who wear a mask in public.
Walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay?
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC.
Joe's profound knowledge and high IQ have allowed him to be able to consistently explore and evaluate the highest level of ideas on the biggest podcasting platform in the entire world. His intellectual experience and status as an elite stand-up comedian simply means that he is more capable of making difficult decisions like electing the leader of the free world. Most civilians aren't frequently taking copious amounts of alpha brain, and they're not discussing a whole new thought-provoking topic every single week with the same degree of intellectual rigor.
Yeah, Fritz Haber.
Well, Fritz Haber was a fascinating character.
Yeah, were made by like the Haber method that was made by a guy who was
Fritz
a
Haber.
Jewish guy. You know,
And
the
they
horrible tragedy of Fritz Haber. You know, the Haber
incredible,
method.
yeah.
Well, there's a guy named Fritz Haber, and the scenario, like ironic scenario, was Fritz Haber.
It sounds unconventional at first, but having a man's man like Jocko as the leader of the free world is what we should strive towards. I was a bit skeptical of Jocko at first too, but his message was so unique and powerful that I became one of his most ardent followers. He's inspired a generation of impressionable young men to spread his gospel. Jackoff possesses more mental toughness and ability to dig deep and achieve something that most men would never dream of. His experience in high-pressure situations like in Iraq, where he had to valiantly murder the Iraqi al-Qaeda insurgents under excruciating pressure, have guided Jocko to create something truly special. Jocko devised an elaborate system showing anybody and everybody a clear path to success. Unlike most of the vague platitudes that motivational speakers spew, he kept it simple for the civilians, but it's a powerfully rich message that's unparalleled and can be applied to virtually any situation. Because if you put your head down, cut the constant whining, and pick yourself up by the bootstraps, then you can finally do anything.
One of my guys that worked for me, he would call me up or pull me aside with some major problem, some issue that was going on. And he'd say, boss, we got this and that and the other thing. And I'd look at him and I'd say, good. And I said, well, yeah, good. Didn't get promoted. Good.
Coming to you from Southern California.
Play Jocko right now.
Goosebumps.
Play Jocko right now. My kid's got pneumonia in her fucking left lung to a degree that nobody fucking knows what to do, and fucking even the doctors are perplexed.
Well, you're right about that.
I was morbidly obese and on unemployment at the time, and watching Good changed everything. I realized that I could disregard my other obligations to get up at 4 a.m. in the morning to do burpees and drink a Jocko Discipline Go energy drink. There was literally no excuse not to dedicate every single ounce of your being to the grind, and you will not be able to deceive Jocko. He will personally taste the mental weakness in your cum. I never knew I had it in me. All I had to do was say
Good.
Such a remarkably profound message from such an inspirational figure. I had never heard a message that touched me in that way. I think I could only compare it to the way that Chris D'Elia touches preteens. Jocko has transcended motivational speaking and leadership advocacy in a way that can't be put into words, coming up with the most unconventionally brilliant method yet.
Are you behind on your credit card bills? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. Is your landlord ready to evict you? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. Does your girlfriend think you're a fucking worthless loser? Good, pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
It's an unprecedented movement, and Jocko is lifting up more and more people every day. Commander Willink fervidly fought for your freedoms, and because of that, he understands freedom in a way that you mere civilians will never grasp. He kept it simple, but it's as rich as any message. All you have to do is say good, and all of your problems will magically solve themselves. Of course, you must also buy all of his books, and yes, that means purchase it. You can't borrow it. That would not be taking extreme ownership. Now, I understand if you think supporting a self-help guru and a self-aggrandizing foot soldier for president is difficult to do. I know it seems a bit unconventional, but the other thing I didn't mention is he's in the supplement business, just like Joe is. We all know that to be a part of the supplement industry, you have to be a venerable man with high character and cannot embellish your product at all. It's the gold standard of all industries. The leaders of this realm include visionaries like Alex Jones, Tony Robbins, Aubrey Marcus, and of course, as we mentioned before, the Messiah of Reason himself. Instead of politically motivated charlatans like Fauci, President Jocko would have real scientists like the Weinstein Bros, Patrick Moore, Gad Saad, Jordan Peterson, and many more intellectual dark web superstars leading the charge. Ultimately, our great country has lost its way. We need to go back to our roots and apply Jocko's good principles. Good. It is our only hope from all of America becoming the communist hellscape that California has turned into. Because after all, we can't all move to Texas.
When I haven't tasted my family's blood in a while, I don't notice. I'm not sitting there thinking about it. Something will happen. Some situation will unfold. And I'll go into, it makes me just look around and I just think, you know, I wasn't really supposed to be some person that had did something, you know, some person that had something, you know, if some person did something and they want to go to war, some person that had something.
Will you shut the fuck up?